Well, actress Scarlett Johansson taking on Disney, and if you've been given a gift, can the gift giver request it back? Well, Lisa Ortiz caught up with the guys from Del Rio and Caraway to learn more in another edition of Sidebar.
It is time for your Sidebar here this morning. Back with Del Rio and Caraway. Two interesting legal stories that we want your insight on. I'm going to start with you here. So a woman receives a gift and then is asked for that money back. Let's get in on those details.
So the defining word here is gift.
Yeah.
And the question is whether or not you have to pay back a gift.
Okay.
The reason that's important is because you have to pay back a loan, obviously. You do not have to pay back a gift.
Okay.
So in this case, what you have is a lady that was having problems with her business 6 years ago. A wealthy client of hers said, I want to help you out. I'm going to give you $75,000. Person says, listen, I can't repay that. I'm not going to take a loan from you. The wealthy benefactor says, we're going to do this, but it's going to be a gift. I'm not going to make you pay it back. They actually sit down and they write that out and put it in writing.
And that's key.
That is key. It's absolutely key. So then 6 years later, the wealthy benefactor is having problems, and she says, I want that money back, but by the way, I'm not going to make you pay the interest on it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
But we go back to that document that they signed, and that will hold up in court.
Absolutely. People are allowed to contract anything because there was no terms other than the fact that it's not a loan. It's going to be determined to be a gift, and you do not have to pay back gifts in California.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that. All right. Now this next topic here, Scarlett Johansson taking on, oh, you may have heard, Disney, right? Big lawsuit that I feel like we'll probably hear more about some things like this happening. So, Dan, why don't you break it down for us? How is this playing out right now?
So what we know so far, because we were able to get a copy of the complaint from the actual courthouse, is Scarlett Johansson is basically accusing Marvel and thereby the parent company Disney that they breached the contractual agreement with her on her newest movie, Black Widow. The agreement in the contract was that they would do a wide theatrical release and that in turn she would receive a portion of the box office receipts. Instead, what ended up happening is Disney, it sounds like, ended up ordering Marvel to go ahead and simultaneously release it on their streaming service. This has no financial connection to Scarlett Johansson, so her complaint is, by doing that, they have basically robbed her of a portion of what she would have expected in compensation.
And portion by, like, millions.
Of a very large portion. Yes. There's rumors that there's anywhere between $50 and $80 million made on Black Widow thus far. So now, going to that at this point, here's the interesting question. Disney's defense is, it's COVID. We had to be flexible. We had to try other avenues. Sorry. In counter to that, Warner Brothers and other studios that have had to deal with this have had to still go ahead and adjust and pay their talent those kind of back-end deals, even when they went over to the subscription service, in order to not just simply get around their contracts. So this becomes the argument that they're having now. The big point of contention is going to be the term that they used in the contract, a wide theatrical release. Does that mean it's exclusive? Scarlett Johansson's people argue that that does mean exclusivity in the box offices for 90 to 120 days. Disney says, no, it just means it's one of the avenues we have to use.
Okay. All right, so we're going to see how this plays out because this is, of course, making headlines currently. So thank you so much, Chuck, Dan. Thank you so much, Del Rio and Caraway, with your Sidebar this morning. Back over to you.
Right, very interesting.
Totally. That whole Disney lawsuit thing, we got to watch that carefully because there's a lot of different streaming things that have happened, and I think that's all going to come together.